we are excited to hear you. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Good morning to everyone out of Tyrol. Thank you for inviting me, although it's only remote. But yeah, some changes was done, and for this I had to stay in Tyrol. I'm sorry about that because I love Budapest, but yeah. I hope I can give you a short impression over our family business and over all these important things of ecosystem. This is a topic I can address not only theoretically, but it's more like speaking from a lived experience. Because I'm someone who has lived inside this multi-general entrepreneurial family for some decades already. And over the time, I learned something, it's really important. Family businesses do not primarily fail because of markets, competitors, or technology. Very often, the real challenges lie somewhere else because it lies in the family. And that is what I want to talk about today. I hope I can manage the next slide. Let me see. Yes. And why it's important to me, my real personal perspective, because I'm a family shareholder. I was more than 15 years chair of the family council. I'm on myself an entrepreneur. Now I'm in the executive board of the family management for the Tyrolit holding and for the Swarovski crystal holding. And for this, I'm trying to be a governance practitioner. And this is a really personal perspective, not a theoretical one. And additionally, I have two adult sons. This means 6th generation. And one is working in a company at Tyrolit, and the other one found his passion in sports. And this is like family. It's always very inhomogeneous. You see, that's one of the two founders. The main, the Swarovski Daniel, it's in on the left side hand. Always a dog with us. It's still the same. Our family has more dogs than family members, I think. But it started with still one founder and one family, and this means it's easy to have one vision. Daniel Swarovski decided to migrate from Bohemia to Tyrol because he wants to protect his know-how and have access to very cheap electrical energy, hydropower energy. And he came in to Tyrol with 11 family members. But still, it was simple because the founder decided everything, the founder owned everything, and the founder led, like without any governance. But then the business grows, and the family grows either. And this means complexity is growing. In the first generation, everything is easy. Still in the second generation, it's still makeable, manageable. But then the third generation starts, and it's getting a little bit more complex. You have different ideas, you have different wishes, and now we are more than 90 shareholders and more than 250 family members. And the 7th generation is already growing up. And it's not only the family and the employees which are getting more, it's also the stakeholders. The communities are more relevant, the customers, and you have more things to organize in the best way. Growth is for sure a gift, but it's also a challenge. And that's only a short line. For sure, we have a lot more innovations over the years. But the interesting thing is that every generation added something new, but you have still the same spirit. But you have to manage also all these new ideas in the best way that you really ensure that you can share still that same entrepreneurial spirit. You have to evolve continuously. And that's one of the main things. It's my personal experience. You see my two sons at Tyrolit in a live experience to try abrasive tools. It's many, many years ago, but it's something you have to keep in mind, a future owner is not born. It has to be developed. And it's developed by life, but you have to think about this all the time, because the kids are observing everything. How you decide, how we disagree in the family, how we treat the business, and how we handle conflicts. And the next generation learns long before the formal education begins. Ownership is really like a mindset, and you have to do a cultivation for this. And then you have this big family, one founding family. We have now more than 4 generations, but the 5th generation is now mainly leading the company, and 90 shareholders. But you see here so many people. It's like in every family, you have so many voices, and if you have more voices, you need more structure. Because without structure, complexity becomes a conflict. And the continuity is not coming automatically. You have to have shared values, but still in an open communication. You should be aware that disagreement is part of continuity and of unity. And you have to fix this complexity in trusted structures. Unity is nothing inherited, it's built deliberately, generation by generation. And then we came to the problem of the challenge of the continuity. You see here the typical 3 circles. We have the business, the family, the ownership. But the problems are evolving in the overlapping circles. It's if you're a family member working in a business, if you're an owner working in a business, if you're only family and not working in a business, but still are owner, and if you have all 3, oh my goodness. And that's one out of my daily life. We always say it's the head theory. You have always different heads. And it's really something you have to learn. You have to know in any discussion which head you have on. Because when you are changing them too fast, then you really make big mistakes, and you can create fights and untrust in a second if you're not aware that you have always take the right head. And that's one of the biggest risks, I would say, also in the group of advisors, bankers, everyone. You see always the visible side. It's like the markets, the competition, the technology, the company itself. But there's so many things hidden beneath the surface, like an iceberg. The governance, discussion, succession, trust, communication, and relationship. And in many families, there could be a fight like generations before, but the kids still have a feeling for it, and it's there. You have to solve it actively, otherwise it will be there for the next generation too. And this is something that advisors should look at. They always should try to see the hidden problems too, and to realize the complexity of this. And I'm totally clear that without governance, you cannot create any continuity in a family business. And governance is not bureaucracy. Governance ensures the continuity. You need the tools to make decisions together. Also, decisions together if you are in disagreement. You need this bridge where you're really clear in rules who can decide. You have still to have the same values. There should be alignment with the vision and your values, and to make clear that the company can survive many generations and many crises, and we have a lot of them. You need clear structures for resilience. Because the question is whether they, as a family, can disagree constructively. And this is something you have to learn. You see here on the right-hand side, it's the founder with his wife and the 3 sons. We always say the 3 sons are the 3 branches. But now in the 6th generation, it's already get a little bit easier and we are not thinking in branches anymore. But it was a long time our main structure system to think in branches. And here you see for me what does it mean to have a family governance. You need a family constitution. It really should be a clear shared rule book. You need a family council. You need a structure where the voice of the family, not only the shareholders, the family, have their possibility to get all the information they need and also to bring their ideas in. Then one of the most important things, you have to educate your next generation. You have to prepare the future owners. Ownership policy, it's clear. Who has rights, which are the rights, and what are the responsibilities coming out of these from the ownership. You also need like an ownership strategy for example, for the supervisory board or for the executive board, because they have to have clear rules in which framework they are allowed to work and to lead your companies. Communication should be ensured. It should be clear who one is discussing with whom, to organize the right question, that everyone feel comfortable, that he is heard and they communicate the right things to them. And that's the most hard point, conflict resolution. You need to navigate disagreements with structure and with openness. And the governance is never only a document. It has to be a living system. And it means living system, you should really be open to change it anytime it's necessary. And I think it's also really relevant to perhaps have a time frame that you really say, if you have like a clear governance structure, the family constitution and all the other things, that you say you really make an active actualization, let's say every 5 to 10 years, that it's clear that it has nothing fixed, because the family is changing, the market is changing, the business is changing. You have to go with this, and quick enough. Otherwise, you're like in a cage. Oops, sorry. And it's clear that you need an advisor ecosystem, because a family alone cannot succeed. And for clear, we have this inner ring. It's the family with the ownership people, the board, the management, the business. But there's the outer ring, and there are you coming to the game too. It's the bankers, private or corporate, the lawyers, tax advisors, family business experts, mentors, facilitators. You need really a broad range of different people. But relevant is the advisor serves the family, and it should be not the other way around. It seems clear, but let's tell me it's not that clear many times in life. And I really think that the collaboration creates the value. This means you cannot say you only need a good banker or a good lawyer. You really need all of them. And they all have to be aware that they only hold a piece of the puzzle and not seeing the whole picture. And this you have to communicate also with your advisors in a very clear and defined way. How do I explain it in the back? It's like the private banker. It always sees wealth and liquidity. The corporate banker already sees different things, because he sees financing and risks out of financing. The tax advisor sees a lot of structure and efficiency. And if you have a governance expert, he sees the alignment. And everyone sees something, but nobody sees everything. And this means the collaboration is needed to create value. And the succession is not a journey. It's a journey, sorry. It's a journey and not an event. Because you really have to fix it in long-term preparation. And you have to be clear that it's not only like a legal transaction. You have to be aware that it's everything. You also hand over like the ecosystem, all the relationships. You need to give also the family dynamics in the next generation. And the new leaders have to know all the different actions out of history. This means you have a leadership transition, ownership transfer. The wealth structures has to be clear, and the investment strategy has to be clear, because the baton is never just passed, it is earned. And this is the two questions you always should ask yourself. Are you ready for both of these types? You have to have a planned succession, but you still have also be prepared for unexpected succession, because it can always happen. For sure, the planned succession, yeah, everyone I think have an idea what does it mean. But unexpected succession is also a relevant crisis. It could be anything, illness, accident, a family crisis, a forced exit, could be a death. And you have to be responsible that you have both possibilities in mind and be aware of it. I have two examples, only as a short view, because if you're thinking about Apple, everyone thought that if Steve Jobs is leaving, they will have a big problem. But it was nothing about that, because he knows exactly that he will leave, and he prepared over years his leadership pipeline. He had a clear governance, he was very well prepared, and he communicated clear to the markets, to his stakeholders. And it means the preparation creates, in his case, in Apple case, real resilience. And when we are looking at Samsung, it was much harder for them. Why? Because they have such a typical Korean chaperone. It's called it's a very family controlled, very complex industrial conglomerate. And this is one of the main problems which are existing when the family has a lot of control, but also out of these possibilities of control, they generated a very complex holding system. Then succession is much harder to ensure. And the succession risks really escalates when ownership complexity grows much faster than the governance maturity. And I think it's always the same lesson. Different companies, you have to be prepared. You should be also you're good in improvisation, but the main thing is preparation. Plan really early, build the right structures, and prepare the people. The best time to plan succession was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. This example from this picture, I love it because my heart is working at Turlet, and this is one of the first marketing actions of Turlet, and I really love this picture. And the bankers have a unique position, because as a banker, you see the risks most of the time before others do. Because you see the corporate financing, the holding structures, the family offices typically, the debt exposure, investments, private wealth, liquidity, trusts, and ownership. And you should really be aware that you are in a privileged, unique role. Because the other advices, like I told you, always see parts, puzzle pieces. And as a banker, when you are open for it, you will see most of the relevant parts if you're actively handling this. Because I remember this out of my own life. The private banker he is more like a part of the family in some cases. You have really a trust relationship. Most of the time it's very over the whole family, a big around the family. It means you have gross family visibility. You're seeing the whole picture. You are often with us when we have crises like death, divorces, succession, birth. Everything is always changing, because when you're in a family business, every typical family event is also a change in structure. And you can ensure out of your institutional memory continuity. And if you're really looking underneath the surface, I'm sure that the banker is one of these relevant persons who really see early risks. And you can strengthen the network. And this means it's one of the banker is sometimes really the first trusted advisor. And it's very relevant, I think, also in the family, that you build this trust and give it to the next generation. And I think this is the 6 questions. It's more like, it's not bankers' questions, but I think it's relevant for bankers to ask these questions. What happens if the founder is not there tomorrow? Who can sign? Who can decide? Who owns what? And who controls liquidity? Are the structures aligned with the family wishes? One of the biggest things and the most hard relevant things. And would the family still function? And these are human questions, but you should be aware of this question if you want to work in a good way with family businesses. And this means I see a bank not out of like the traditional view, like you are presenting your products, you are responsible for financing investments, you're organizing the transactions. You should be, out of my view, more than that. You should be like a facilitator, a trusted challenger. That's really a relevant job. Make the right challenges. Connector, it means like the networker, early warning system, and independent sounding board, and a real transparent conversation partner. The families who thrive are those whose bankers dare to ask the uncomfortable questions. It means the right challenges. Bring the right challenges on the table. Because a family needs teams. We don't need the hero. We really need a strong network of advisors which are openly discussing with each other. And it never can be one single advisor. And what we need from these advisors, again, but I think it's the relevant part of this discussion, you should challenge the family. You should not confirm what you hear. You should challenge it. Be honest, also if it's uncomfortable, because we know a lot of founders or next generations are strong minded, but also they had to discuss in an open way. Stay always independent. Your loyalty is to the family, not to the fee. It's hard, but it should be like this. You should avoid dependencies. Be flexible. Every family is different. I can tell you, family hates this sentence. Yeah, I had this example already and I have the solution for it. But families always think they're different. And most of them, I think, are different, although there are for sure solutions for more than for one. Work together, collaborate also with the other advisors, with the lawyers, with everything, adapt to the family and accept it's not a standard case, and think long term. We don't need in a family business a standard solution. We need trusted partners. The future belongs to families who build ecosystems, but no dependencies. And this is one of the experiences I had too. Sometimes you really are dependent from a bank or from an advisor. And that's really sad, because you're feeling like in a cage. And then when there's a family fight, it's always more discussing about the bad advisor than about the real problem in the family. And if something happens tomorrow, would your family be prepared? It's one of the main questions. And I hope we are prepared, because we had really I think we have now a really good advisor network with a lot of openness and trust. And we created over the years, and we had hard years out of family discussions, a real consensus last year. And for this, we started with new structures. And this is also part of a succession. You also have to succeed with the whole family and not only with the guys who are leading then the company. And the success has always have to be transition of responsibility, relationship, and trust. And the strongest families are never those with the fewest challenges, but they are the families which build the right systems, enabling them to navigate the complexity together. Oops, sorry. And the goal is not to transfer wealth. The goal is to transfer the continuity, because it's really, wealth can be lost, but you should go with the main focus on the continuity. And then you perhaps have the family business still in the 10th generation or 15th generation. I remember a story I heard from Japanese hotel business. They are like in the 70th generation, and that's really amazing. They're existing since like hundreds of years, and they're still there. And it was not always a transfer of wealth, but it was clear they want to keep continuity in their business. And thank you very much for your time.